Brother, I'm going, wanna wow Hulk Hogan. If I like it's a moment, I'll make sure it's an explosion. Cause lately I've been seeing stars, trying to kick out of this chokehold. But it's no holds barred, middle fingers like I'm Stone Cold.
What is good, everybody in the CWC, any other wrestling fan who's deciding to tune in? This is the Slapping Meat Wrestling Podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. We're going to make this one as quick as possible. This is just going to be predictions. Not going to do a lot of anything else here. Just a couple housekeeping. slappingmeatwrestling.com. Go to that website. That'll lead you to our to the merchandise that we have up. Yeah, that's basically about it for the housekeeping there. Let's move in. We're gonna predict Fastlane. This is the first premium live event under the new TKO group. And so I'm very interested in how this plays out. It is, well, technically, as I'm recording this, it's 6:04 a.m. on Saturday morning. I meant to get this out Friday night. I'm gonna be honest with you, I completely forgot about it. And then I wasn't feeling all that well last night, as you can sort of tell. Kind of getting sick again. You know, the weather here in North Carolina does not play nice at this time of the year. It goes from fall to summer every other week. But and so my you got to adapt to that, right? And I don't know where I was going with that anyway. But let's predict Fastlane. Not a lot of that we're going to do here. What I want to talk about first with Fastlane is the length of the card, right? It's 5 matches. Now, I like this, but so someone in the Discord said, man, looking through this card, this thing is reading like an AEW pay-per-view or an AEW show. And what he meant by that is, look at all the tag team matches. And while I agree, I'm not the biggest fan of having 80-11 tag team matches. Like, if this was an AEW show, this is sort of my joke for the day. If this was an AEW show, this would be 18 matches. Each of them would get like 20 minutes long segments. The premium live event went into like 1 a.m, and it would end with some grand entrance from a new superstar that we're gonna bury in a month. That's sort of the pay-per-view model AEW seems to like to run. And so, yeah, 5 matches. This is why I like 5 matches. First off, I'm assuming this thing's going to go probably 3 hours, so probably be over by 11. Which, right, so you think 3 hours, that's 180 minutes. That gives each match just about a half hour each. Right? Now, not every match is going to take 30 to 35 minutes. But what I'm saying is it allows the match to breathe, and it allows for moments to be made. Right? And so you could have you can allow certain matches, like the triple threat with Charlotte and Io and Asuka. You can allow that to play out. You can give that match 20 minutes rather than 10. Right. And so it allows you to sort of stretch some of this out, and allow for moments to be made outside of just outside of because if you had 8 matches in this period, now you're giving each segment 20 minutes. which means the less needed, like the women's segment's always the shorter segment, unless it's the main event, right? It's just how booking is always done. And so, I mean, the triple threat match is probably going to be somewhere around 20, 25 minutes. But if you know you have the ability to give it 30, you can allow it to stretch out and say, hey, we may go over a little bit if this thing is hitting, right? And then I look at this card and I'm like, look at the star power we have on the card. Look at the potential matches that we have. You look at Fastlane and you think, this probably isn't going to be good. You know, traditionally this would be one of the pay-per-views that I would say, I'm probably going to miss. I'm probably going to miss this one. I don't have to watch it. And to that, I will say, you're going to have to watch this show. I think this is going to be so much better. Now, again, I like to curb my expectations. What I mean by that is this is still probably, like, I like to think it's going to be a C. So when I get an A, I'm happy, right? So I'm not going to expect too much from this show. And then we're probably going to get some bangers. That's what I'm thinking of. So let's dive on into this card. Okay, so I know where we're going to start the prediction, but what I like to do is try to predict what match starts the show. And there's so much like name power here. Like, there's no way you start the show with John Cena in the Bloodline. You just don't start the show with that. In fact, I think they're ending the show with that match. As much as Seth Rollins versus Nakamura needs to be the main event, part of me believes that the Bloodline's main eventing. That's just my opinion on the issue. But where we're starting the prediction is LWO, which is Rey, Santos Escobar, and a third partner. I thought there was already. See, this is what happens when you don't pay attention to the show. But LWO versus Bobby Lashley and Street Profits. So this is where I'll come in. I haven't watched Raw or SmackDown probably the entire build up to this pay-per-view. I know a little of what's happening, but I have zero idea why this says TBA, because a lot of times when LWO is on my TV, I'm not paying attention anyway. Well, let me a button. Not sure what happened with my camera there. There we go. Let's see. So it appears Del Cruz. Okay. See, this is the thing about LWO that I don't understand. You have two other people in that group. It's Raymond, right? So you have Mysterio, you have Santos, you have two other people in that group. Why don't you just use one of them? But since there's a TBA here, right? They're facing Lashley and Lashley and the Profits. Since there's a TBA here, I'm assuming there's going to be a surprise. And the only thing that makes any fucking sense here would be Carlito. The only thing that makes sense here would be Carlito showing up to join the LWO. That's the only thing that makes sense. You bring him in at the pay-per-view or live event, right? That's the only thing that makes any sense to do at this point in time. So if it is a big entrance, if it is someone like Carlito, then LWO is winning. And so that's where I'll go. I'm going LWO. I'm going Carlito as the third partner. Now, again, I'm not a big fan of this booking because LWO has what? 4 members in it and you're only going to use 2, like, I don't know why you necessarily have to add another one. Like, what's the whole point of having Cruz del Toro and the other guy? I can't think of his name right now. What's the point of having him in the group if they're not going to participate in anything? If LWO is just Santos and Ray, then why can't the other 2 go do something different? I've just, right, they could go back and join Electra Lopez. Right? I just don't fully understand what's going on with that the booking of LWO. Like, if LWO was just supposed to sort of be a storyline between Ray and Escobar, why not send the other 2 to do something different so that they're not just useless in here? With that being said, yeah, LWO is gonna LWO. If it's a big debut like Carlito, I can't see them debuting him and then having that team lose. However, Bobby Lashley and the Profits need the win here. It's the only thing I'm certain of is that Bobby Lashley in the new team here, this new grouping, they need to win. It's the only thing that makes sense, right? So now I'm confused on where I really want. Like, it really just depends on who the third partner is. I just okay, so my official pick is going to be Lashley and the Profits because that's the only thing that makes sense. And so, but I will say, if it's someone like Carlito as the third partner or some big name, maybe potentially Dragon Lee, then they're going to win. If it's a big name like that, then they're going to win. I could see it being Dragon Lee. He's sort of secretly being brought up to the main roster. So if it's someone like Dragon Lee or someone like Carlito, then LWO's winning. You're not debuting them at a premium live event for them to lose, right? Which then hurts Lashley and the Profits in the end, ultimately. All right, so let's move to that triple threat. Asuka, Io, Charlotte. It's easy for me to just want to pick Charlotte here. It really is, because typically this is what happens. Charlotte comes in, she gets she sort of crashes her way into a title match, and then she wins. I don't think that happens this time. I think that Io Sky will retain. I do. I think Io Sky will retain, or Asuka will win. But I'm going with Io Sky because I think Charlotte's going to have bigger plans for her in store. I don't think we'll probably see her maybe at Crown Jewel, but definitely at Survivor Series. And so the way the schedule for WWE is now, right? Where you have Crown Jewel, Survivor Series, and then you don't have another premium live event till Royal Rumble. It's sort of like 3 important shows in a row. So all the big stars are going to come back, and they're going to do Crown Jewel, they're going to do Survivor Series, they're going to do Royal Rumble. Maybe miss Chamber, but Chamber's in Perth this year, so it's going to be a big show. They're going to have the big names on it, right? So the way the schedule is, we're going to get Charlotte, Roman Reigns, and stuff like that for, Crown Jewel, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber. March doesn't have a pay-per-view. And then you'll have Mania at the beginning of April. And so basically 6 months that we're going to have these people here for, just so that they can build a storyline to get us to Mania. Because let's face it. We're on the stretch to WrestleMania, right? I know they call Royal Rumble like the beginning of Mania season, but we're on that stretch to get us to Mania right now, right? Crown Jewel is going to be the official start of And the build to Crown Jewel to me is going to be the official start of Mania season. Because, and I want to say that we'll move up. We'll move back to predictions here in a second, because I saw a post of something that, the more that I think about it, I really want to happen. And that is, the rumor is John Cena versus Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel. Of course, that would be the match, right? It's in Saudi. You please the Saudi government and the people there. You give them a big show with John Cena, right? And you please us. Like, that's a match that I know we've seen it before, but I'd love to see it again. And in Saudi Arabia, the biggest, probably, money-making night of the year for WWE at Crown Jewel, you have Roman Reigns lose his title to John Cena because of a Rock disruption. So you have the three biggest stars of the last 25 years in the ring at the same time in Saudi Arabia, where John Cena then breaks Ric Flair's record. Right, John Cena this is a more real, a couple weeks ago I did that, like, how would I book Randy Orton versus John Cena to where they fight? I like that storyline idea, but this just seems like the more simple idea. You end Roman Reigns' title run at Crown Jewel, which builds to something bigger. We'll get to that in a second, right? You give Cena the record at Crown Jewel, and then you have Cena put over LA Knight. And LA Knight can be the next superstar for SmackDown. And that can happen, at WrestleMania. Have Cena run it for 6 months. Now, my problem with that booking is that's assuming that the strike doesn't end. The writer strike's over. I don't know if you guys know that. The writer strike is over. Now, the actors are still on strike, but the writer strike's over. They've come to a conclusion. I don't really keep up with all of the details of that, but the writer's strike is over. The actors are still on strike, but at any moment Hollywood could pick back up. And so putting the strap on Cena at Crown Jewel, unless he's going to drop it at Survivor Series, I don't see if that's like the long-term plan that WWE has. But I could see that happening, and I would love it to happen. And then what happens with the Rock interruption that cost Roman the belt? Well, that's easy. That's the setup to get to Roman Reigns versus the Rock. And I know everyone's like, we don't need 6 months of build. But can you imagine 6 months of build for this storyline where Roman Reigns, the one person he thought would not betray him, is a family member like the Rock? And then that just sort of, creates in Roman Reigns a fury that, right? Because I've always said the Roman Reigns storyline that we're on right now started in Philadelphia at Royal Rumble, where he won, right? And I've always said this story is so much deeper than what meets the eyes. It's deeper than the last 3 years of Bloodline storytelling, right? This is Roman Reigns' career. This is 10 years of storyline that you have to understand the context of to understand this Roman Reigns, right? This character is, it started at the Royal Rumble in Philadelphia where he won, and they sent The Rock out to praise him and raise his hands, and he's still getting booed, right? He's still getting booed out of the arena. And that's what sort of started this. That's where the story begins, because for the next 4 or 5 years, he gets pushed and pushed, and he's still getting booed and booed. And so he leaves, and then he comes back as heel Roman Reigns. And that's how we get Bloodline Roman Reigns, right? This story is so deep. So how fitting that we end the story of Roman Reigns and potentially the we end the bloodline sort of storyline. How fitting that it's going to end at WrestleMania in Philadelphia, the place where ultimately the story started, against The Rock, the person who was at the beginning of the story. How fucking fitting is that shit? I've always said, I don't know if I've ever said it on the podcast. I've always said Paul Heyman has been booking this story, and I don't want to make this about his religion, but Paul Heyman is Jewish, and Jews in history had always told circular stories, right? They told circular stories, so it began and ended at the same place. The biggest example of that is literally the Bible. If whether or not you believe it's a book of history or not, let's just say it's a fiction book. It was written by Jews, and it started in a garden with the tree of life, and it's going to end in a garden with the tree of life, right? Because Jews told circular stories. You began and you end in the same place, and this feels like a circular story. It's going to begin in Philadelphia with The Rock, and it's going to end in Philadelphia with The Rock. How fucking fitting is it? What a story that is. I need this to happen. I've never been more certain of something would be a banger than that. Because then what you can do is, I'm be honest with you, LA Knight does not feel like the type of guy to beat Roman Reigns. I'm just sorry. Like, if Sami Zayn can't do it, if Cody Rhodes can't do it, if Drew McIntyre can't do it, you want me to expect and to assume that LA Knight's going to do it. I'm sorry, it's just not There's no one on the roster right now. There's no one on the roster right now that I believe can fully, like, theoretically, like, if we keep it in kayfabe, can beat Roman Reigns. There's no one. But there's John Cena with it. Right now, we had Cena into this sort of how funny is that moment, because The Rock and Cena are like mere rivals in kayfabe, right? They're rivals. They had 2 WrestleMania matches against each other. Like, they're right. So how fucking fitting is that The Rock of all people are going to cost Roman Reigns the title by helping his rival? That's fucking fitting, man. That's it. That's an interesting story that I wish would happen. When I read that, I was like, this needs to happen. Someone get this up to WWE right now, because this needs to happen. But anyway, back to this prediction, right? So yeah, I'm going Io Sky, because I think Charlotte Flair is going to have a little bit. She's going to have another story. I don't know where. I don't know what. The only thing I can think of is Bianca, but we've already seen that match, haven't we? And then I assumed it was going to be Jade, but the rumors are Jade's going to Raw. So we shall see. Let's do Judgment Day versus Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. The Judgment Day's retaining. I don't understand this match at all. I just don't. We have a tag team division, WWE. I hope you know that. Why are we putting Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso in the, like? This is just a build to get to Survivor Series, and I'm telling you, this right here, this storyline is the exact reason why I stopped watching Raw. I'm so tired of it. The Judgment Day has been overexposed to me. I don't necessarily care to see them anymore, which is sad, because 2 months ago, I was their biggest fan. But this has been my worry since they made them the sort of focal point of the company, and they're everywhere. They're on every show. Dom's on NXT. Because they're tag champions, they can be on Raw and SmackDown. Rhea Ripley goes wherever the fuck she wants to go. So they're on every show, and you overexpose them, and then, like, I don't really want to see them anymore, right? That's how it works. And so, yeah, Judgment Day is going to retain, because there's really no reason to put the belt on Cody and Jay. This is just a build to get to Survivor Series, and that's all this is. This is just space filler, to be honest with you. All right, so then we get to LA Knight, John Cena versus Jimmy Uso and Solo. Yeah, Cena and Knight are winning this match. Cena and John Cena and LA Knight are winning this match. And I think this one's probably the easiest to predict. This then leads to Roman Reigns coming out on next Friday when he comes back on the 13th, probably challenging Cena, and hopefully we get the story we just talked about with Cena winning. And again, then giving LA Knight an opportunity to win the belt, right? However, Cena's only been booked through October. So I don't know what the situation of the actor strike is or what Cena's planning on doing, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, Cena and Knight are winning this. LA Knight's going to need the win. It's also a way to build sort of the animosity of Roman against Jimmy and against Solo. And I think this is where we start to see the turn of Solo, honestly, against Roman. And then we get to I'm assuming what's probably going to be the main event, or what should be the main event. It's the last man standing between Rollins and Nakamura. And if there's a match that I really don't give a fuck about, but at the same time really want to watch, like, I don't care about this storyline, but I have a very interesting take on this match. And it's not really interesting. It's like, I'm interested in to see the match because I think this could be a banger. And I think we're going to get a potential match of the year out of this match, knowing what I can get from both of these superstars. Here's my question, though. And I meant to ask this on the last episode when I was already petty about it. But I was just being too petty. I forgot to ask it. Like, I just completely slipped my mind in my rant on that episode. I'm being 100% serious. Taking in the context the last episode of what makes a match of the year, taking in the context of that, Seth Rollins, Shinsuke Nakamura, they're only going to be in front of like 12,000 people. If this is a banger, can we call this match of the year? Because it's not on a bright stage. There's only 12,000 people. Again, I'm being petty, but it further exudes my argument of how silly that belief system is, at least in my opinion, right? Because we might have a banger of a match here. This could be match of the year. And I would hate to go out there and for them to give the best match we've seen all year, and then for Rollins and Nakamura to be met backstage with, imagine if I was sitting there, right, and Rollins and Nakamura came back, and I said, "Oh man, y'all just killed it out there. What a match!" Sadly, the official attendance was under 25,000 people. Therefore, this cannot be match of the year. Y'all killed it. It was a fantastic match, but the attendance was too little, right? It's that, to me, that's no different. And I said this on the last episode. To me, that's no different than if they were to tear the house down, 5-star match, and they would walk back behind the curtain and Dave Meltzer sitting back there and said, "Hey boys, y'all did a fantastic job. That was a hell of a match. That's a 4.25. Because Dave, it will never give a 5-star match to WWE. I think he's only given 3 5-star matches to WWE ever that I can remember reading, at least in the last 10 years, right? He just doesn't do it, right? And to me, that's just right? To me, coming and saying, "Oh, this can't be match of the year because of the attendance or the location of the show," right? And again, I'm not going to try to get petty, but we're about to end this, but I think that exudes my point a little bit more, that, look, attendance doesn't matter, right? Now, of course, you're not going to go to the bingo hall in front of 400 people and say match of the year, But you're in WWE. Anything within WWE, I think it's fair game, no matter if it's 5,000 or 50,000. That's my argument, right? WWE, AEW, I think even Impact can put on match of the year quality matches. But really, AEW, WWE, Premier Live events, I don't see why we can't say, hey, yeah, that's match of the year. Again, I'm being petty, so I'll stop with that. But yeah, that's my prediction. So, actually, I never predicted the match here. I've been leaning Nakamura just so we can get the story over with. But I don't know. Again, I haven't really watched Raw all that much in the last couple weeks. I'm gonna go Seth. So my prediction: Seth, John Cena, and LA Knight, the Judgment Day, Io Sky, and Lashley and the Prophets. I think we'll get some banger matches, some good moments. I think Jade Cargill is going to debut. And I'll say this though. It was said, I think, in the Discord last Saturday, that there's no way that Fastlane can live up to what No Mercy was. And I'm going to agree with that sentiment. We will not have near as much. I think Rollins and Nakamura will be a banger, but I think other than that, we're not going to have a match that comes close to what Dragunov and Hayes was, or what Becky and Tiffany Stratton was. I don't even think Nakamura versus Seth will reach that level of just wrestling greatness. So I think No Mercy will ultimately end up being the better event, but I think I'm biased because I'm definitely an NXT. If NXT was the only wrestling show I could watch, I would be happy. That's the way I sort of am about wrestling at this current moment. But yeah, that's my predictions. Let me know what you guys think. It is Saturday morning as I'm recording this. So I'll probably, at the end of the show, you'll probably get another episode after it ends, and I'm probably going to take about 20, 30 minutes to break down what we saw. But yeah, until then, y'all have a great Saturday, and I'll see you on the review show here later tonight, and then next Wednesday as well. Go ahead and submit your topic suggestions if you're in the Discord. If not, click the link below. Join the Discord under where it says Slapping Meat Wrestling Podcast or Slapping Meat Podcast. I don't remember how it's labeled on the Discord. There's something for like topic suggestions. Leave a topic suggestion or question down there so we could talk about it on Wednesday. And then until then, I hope y'all have a great day, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Brother, I'm going run a wild Hulk Hogan. If I like, get some moment.